Sandeep Moore holds a string of degrees from engineering to law and a doctoral degree in management. He has a long and illustrious career in the industry, tempered with a penchant for teaching and leading management institutions. He comes across as a passionate author in the various books that he has read on subjects as varied as ethics, strategy, disaster management, and culture. Apart from the various awards conferred on him, his leadership role and immense contribution to the field of research make him the most appropriate person to chair this session. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for this towering personality as I request Dr. Anita Kanwar, lab coordinator, to welcome him with the customary present stage. Our first speaker for the day is Dr. Jahangir. He is Xavier Institute of Communication. The highly appreciated business teacher holds a doctoral degree in laser spectroscopy, having researched in labs of PRC. The teacher in him has shaped his career as been associated with various reputed educational institutions, holding equally challenging positions. His work has been recognized with various awards conferred on him. Continues his journey in knowledge as he enthusiastically volunteers for guest lectures in various institutions. We welcome you, sir. I request Dr. Anita Kanwar to do the necessary presentation. He will be followed by Wing Commander S. Jayashankar from the National Defense Academy, who has been assisted by Professor Om Prakash Gupta, Principal of NDA, who had to introduce himself for some official commitment. Wing Commander S. Jayashankar has a strong foundation in statistical analysis and training and has been associated with various departments of NDA, training our scientists and teachers. He has held various positions as an academician, able administrator, trainer, and coordinator. I request this August civilian gathering welcome the Guru of our soldiers with a huge round of applause. As I request Dr. Anita Kanwar to deliver. Our one more speaker will be joining us, so that I request the session chair to take the proceedings.
Dignitaries on the dais and fraternity of teaching professionals. We have been hearing a lot about smart cities. Now the first time we are talking about smart colleges. I thought that colleges were always smart. They were the ones who actually taught people how to operate computers and integrate computers in professional life. So this was the first stage of computerization, and society benefited out of it. But the world has come back full circle, and now IT professionals have a lot to share with those alma mater who taught them computers and software. In this session, we are going to get exposure to some of those applications of ICT which will help in making our colleges smart. We must have heard about learning management systems, application of SAS in education institutions in universities. But very few have seen applications of those software in managing an education system. Of course, Vivekananda Education Society has always been ahead in this application, and in Polytechnic, a lot of such applications are being used and being developed. Similarly, in other institutions, we have some IT applications which we are using. But more of that once we have heard the presentation of our eminent speakers, because as such the time of 2 hours is reduced to 1 hour, and they will have to struggle to still deliver the content by cutting down on their time. So without taking much of their time, I will invite first Professor Jahangir Mistry, Dean of St. Xavier Institute of Communication, to make his presentation. Please welcome him.
Thank you. As you just heard, we have been squeezed. I'm not. So this talk will be almost like fast food. Okay. I want to start by saying that I was very happy to know from the morning session that Vivekananda College and Mumbai University are moving so fast towards IT processes. We heard the Vice Chancellor say about Wi-Fi, optical fiber, network, and virtual classroom. And he ended his talk by saying, reaching the unreached. Please remember this because in my conclusion I'll come back to that. Dr. Arun Nigwekar just now, just before the break, mentioned about traditional teaching to merge with technological driven educational process. Remember that phrase also. Teachers must be adaptive. And he ended by saying that smart means now I'm wired. Okay. I recently read a book by Ross Bassett. It published just last month. It says the technological Indian. And just one last line because we are squeezed. It says the technological Indian was created at the expense of technological India. He refers to the IITs from 1960s, and most of the Indians who successfully passed out from IITs went abroad and became very good at academics, engineering, medicine, you name it, entrepreneurs. So what did India get? Nothing. India trained them and they all left. Now the situation is changing. Today the scene is rapidly changing. We must close the digital divide, and recently World Bank report says digital dividends must reach everybody. What are digital dividends? The development benefits of growth, opportunities and services to society through technology must reach everyone. Then only we are having what we call smart cities, smart colleges and so on. The vision before us is to make digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. And the buzzword, as I've written in my abstract, smart needs to be applied to schools, colleges and institutes, education institutes, where basic infrastructure, IT connectivity and ICT, information communication technology, are used for teaching, learning and evaluation. A very quick example at XIC, Xavier Institute of Communication, apart from All India online computerized test, we have a Skype video conference interview, and what is the latest is, first time in India, and this came just last week, WhatsApp sessions were used by J.W. Thompson to placement for our students in Delhi. So nowadays it's become so fast that not only admissions, evaluation, etc., but even placements and internships are done over WhatsApp chats. So you don't have to go physically to Delhi where the interviews were supposed to be held. And this was reported as the first time such a thing has happened at college level, and that is the beginning of digital technology for education. Okay. From the passive dependent learner, colleges must try to change them to active independent learners. Means from the blackboard or whiteboard, we go to the dynamic smart board. And just to quickly show you that, I want to show you this small video of one of the latest smart board technologies today. It should shift. That's not smart board, that's me. Okay, audio on. Notice two people are using the board. It's multiple use. That's not a board at all, it's a wall. This light should go on. These two also. ये निकला है? He is now selecting live from a library. Next he'll go to the internet. All this on the wall. Okay, what you saw is that a plain wall or any painted surface, all it needs is, if you notice, a top digital device and a projector, okay, ultra short projector. But this one which I've tested several smart boards, so this is really outstanding because it gives complete freedom and you can write on any surface, even a rough surface, the pens work. So you use it as a whiteboard plain or just anything, video, animation, internet, whatever, okay. Now to go one step further, what are the teaching methods that can come in such a thing? The first one I'd like to say is a media trigger, and how best to do it. Let me see here. All of us heard about the gravity waves, correct? Being a physicist, we were simply thrilled beyond measure, and we quickly used that. I was in a digital image processing seminar since I've retired from physics, but I used that opportunity to start on this. Yeah. So this was the first news, Einstein's gravitational waves seen from black holes. Now for those of you who are physics based, you understand what this did, and you can go to any level, use the internet, use the interferometer, LIGO, which saw the waves, these are the waves going past, and if you go to, that's the actual 4-kilometer setup in Washington, and then there were all these articles which actually gave you the sound signal and everything. So what I did was, I used this as a trigger to teach some aspect of physics and IT which was going on. For those who know me from orientation and refresher, know that I use media as a trigger continuously. And just to give you two non-science examples, when the migration was going on from France to Xavier's, we had a video conference on the migration exodus. You know how lakhs of people were going past Germany from Syria and so on. Another one was for the Greek exit, a webinar, that is the economic crisis, and sometime later we talked to London directly with the students, for, an author of a book called Ruby Ayer. So I'll just show you that. So use of video conferencing, here is it. That was the notice I kept, and about 30 students. Why is it so slow? Okay. So that was the thing. The Age of Angry Young Girl, that's the book called Ruby Ayer, and Lakshmi Hariharan was the person who actually spoke from London live with the students, and they interacted, asked questions. They had read the book because we gave the book before. So use of Skype interviews, use of small scale video conference, students. In fact, we also had with Boston, because that's 10.5 hours time, on a physics topic. Okay, so there are these webinars which are constantly coming up. Social media, let us very quickly, since that is the thing which our students are most savvy, very quickly look at the pros and cons of use of social media networking. Can somebody give me the biggest pro and the biggest con against for social media? Anyone? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? Speed and reach. So speed is the first thing. When there was an earthquake in the Asian continent, at that time I was taking interview of XIC students, and we asked them, how did you know about the earthquake? And 99% knew it through social media, not through the main news media. And all of us also came to know through several other fast means. So yes, it's quick, but it's also limited. In-depth can come later in the print medium or video medium. So yes, speed, quick, convenient, encourages collaboration and participation. I'm talking of all types of social media network. It helps you to stay in touch and connected. Easy discussion for assignments, projects for the students. Teacher-student discussions, we are having all that. Sharing of opinions, doubts, questions, etc. And sharing of resources. What are the cons? What's the biggest con? Against? Addiction, yes. In the morning the speaker talked about 6-year, 7-year girl. My grandchild is 2 years. She doesn't leave the mobile phone. We hide it all over, she finds it. It's amazing how she picks what she wants, enlarges the picture, diminishes the picture, and she started doing this almost 6 months ago. So 1.5 years and she was in it. You go anywhere in a public place, you are seeing children playing with tablets. So there is something happening and we better wake up. Okay? So the cons are, yes, distraction and addiction. Most important, source authentication. Anybody and everybody can write and share views, correct? Suddenly the world has woken up, they want to talk, and we have to listen through Twitter or whatever. So is it the truth? There is no authentication. Time passed and waste, lack of depth, dangers of the social networking, abuse, stalking, cyberbullying, cybercrime, and no face-to-face communication. It's faceless. So people have lost the ability to look straight into the eyes and talk. What about your body language? I'm just some name somewhere. Privacy, defaming, and lots of things. In fact, I read an article which says that one student got 10,000 hits but has not a single friend. Do you understand? So Facebook, Twitter, whatever, 10,000 people are following you, but there is no single real friend. So this is the plus and minus of the social media. Let's go ahead. Even the space for the mouse is squeezed. I've got 2 inches only, so I don't know how to. Why is it so slow? Slow कितने देखो. मेन खोल लो. नहीं इधर नहीं खुला है. इसको खोलो. ओपन करो. हाँ. ये ओपन करो वापस. बस. Okay. I really would like the lights closed because when to appreciate the infrastructure, you need to see the screen beautifully and also hear. So please, what I am doing now are very few examples of real life situation from the textbook. So, and I'm involved in this testing, so please watch. If you can close the lights, yes, and sound high, and computer a little faster. Okay, watch. I design seat belts. So physics in real life is actually calculating the safety for the driver, vehicle, okay, the forces right from first principle, and I've done that including auto crash testing. You bring that to class and then physics works. Otherwise the textbook never ever talks about. These are 2 Toyota models. The blue model is scrapped, the red is on, whatever the model, because the blue is completely finished, including the robotic driver, the anthropod inside. This happens in Pune. This is of course abroad, but we have our testing facility in Pune called Automobile Research Association of India. Okay, that was just one live situation. Let's jump somewhere else. Okay, here's a separate on biodiversity. Please have a look at these pictures. More than 25 years ago, Exxon Valdez broke open in the Arctic Ocean and completely damaged ecology. This is the big ship, this is a sister ship, San Francisco, trying to contain the oil, and that's the aftermath, a whale. That's the oil spill. And if you, I know it's small, but I'll just tell you here that this last species have gone, not recovering 25 years later. These species are recovering and these have recovered, and this is 25 years after the oil spill. Just to show you of the tremendous problem of biodiversity with human interference. Okay? So these are gone forever, and you know how fast species are disappearing. So this was the Exxon Valdez incident. Okay, we'll skip this, go to another example. Recently we concluded a physics seminar on digital image processing, and I'd like to show you this picture, but unfortunately the other picture is also seen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This digital image, which appears black, has all the information which you saw in the next image, which is the image processing. Okay, so though you can see a little bit, if you saw the next one, you saw that it was fully, this is the picture, correct? Now this is just for fun, but here the pictures are for medical and for defense. In defense, the digital image processing is extremely useful. So I will go straight to one little video which will tell you the latest in cancer research. After that I'll wind up.
Linear accelerators or LINACs are used in a variety of industrial and chemical applications, including packaging food sterilization, polymerization, and the treatment of tumors. While the name LINAC is generally applied to the whole apparatus, it correctly refers only to that portion which accelerates electrons. The general arrangement has a gantry arm which holds the treatment head in the desired location and orientation. For low energies, a short inline accelerator waveguide can be used. This has the advantage of itself. In this orientation, the beam is energized approximately perpendicular to the final direction and must be bent at it. Loss of energy. The electrons are produced by an electron gun situated at one end of the LINAC. The acceleration energy is delivered in the form of microwaves produced by a magnetron or klystron and be evacuated by a vacuum system, usually by a pumped water system. The electron gun uses thermionic emission from a heated cathode just static field between the cathode and the anode of the focus. It is travelling along the longitudinal axis of the accelerator, while those on the sides steer it up and down. Accelerator as a bunch. To understand this, consider the forces on an electron in an electric field. That field, but the accelerated electron, can be performed by two methods. Forces on the electrons are, as before, design. The microwaves or microwave magnetron detail the accelerated waveguide. As with the beam inlet, cross-section. To avoid this, a 270-degree bending system was introduced, which uses shapers. The net effect is to produce a beam that leaves the magnet with all the electrons passing through. 112 per half degree deflected, the beam enters the treatment head for modification prior to final use. The most common modification is to convert the electrons to X-rays by colliding the beam with a suitable target. The X-rays produced are collimated by the primary collimator purposes and a lamp and mirror to aid with target alignment. Maintenance.
What is great about this is that they use GPS and the patient goes through 12 treatments exactly in the same position. So the person from Varian who gave this lecture last week explained to me there are only 2 such machines in Bombay right now, and this is the latest for cancer research. But for those who know physics, if you go through this, you saw all of the textbook physics comes into play. So this is what I mean. Either the chairman has shut it down or see what is happening. It says shutting down. It doesn't like me. Okay, I'll just conclude now. I use a lot of media for education, teaching. And here, Down to Earth, a magazine which is very common but brilliant because I've used it repeatedly for read and report, talks about the insect life and in India how many new species are being discovered regularly and understanding of life pattern. This was my second interest. This is VFX. All of you have seen Life of Pi and the tiger. But this is a Sundarbans tiger documentary made. And if you go through this, this is Digital Studio, again a general magazine, which explains how computer graphics and animation are used for complete realism. Okay? Just to end this, one of the morning speakers, that is Dinesh Dailani, said something very interesting, because that's my ending also, is that we as Vivekananda Society does value-based education, and he mentioned grace, ethics and discipline. I'm just putting a caution because with all the technology drive, we do not forget the human being in the student. I think that is crucial. So I started by talking about technological Indian, digitally empowered, but we have to take all of India forward, and this means that we have at times to disconnect to connect. So only one last thing I will show you. We need our students sometimes to get off. One second. Yeah, here it is. I have one beautiful saying which came to me on SMS, and it has stirred me, and I'm sharing it with you. It says, breathe. The universe is taking care of the rest of the, okay, of everything else. That was one, and I'll end with this little video. The technology, yes, but human beings also.
Okay, that's fine. Good afternoon, one and all. Okay, I'm not going to be as tech savvy as what my previous professor mystery had been. But then I come here to share the concepts and of course the challenges what the National Defence Academy, if you are aware of it, and the ICT what we plan or what we are actually using it. Before I came here, of course, it is an interesting thing which happened. When I introduced myself to the organizers that I am Wing Commander Jaishankar, one of them, don't take it otherwise, asked me, what is you mean by that? What way you are connected with this academics? He said, I am teaching mathematics to the undergraduates. So what are you? Assistant professor, associate professor, professor? I said, I am Wing Commander. That's it. Okay. So the concept here is, we are not ready to accept a person outside the academia to be a teacher. So that's where I feel something which I should share it. Anyhow, that's it. Let me keep it the service perspective in my talk more often, and I'll be more of theoretical thing, so that if you could appreciate it, you will understand what exactly we are also doing. I specifically use here as ICT for military education and not education what you call. Let me start with this. I'm just keeping it as simple as such. We always aim for quality, whether it is education or anything else. But as a fundamental feature of what defense services want, we always look for and based and not or based. Not this or that, we want both. So we want a trained military leader as well as educated leader. So we want and not or based. So that's the main things. And what are the challenges we are going to meet? So let me just, of course, the aim, I'm just leaving it at it. Now, if you look at it, who are those who have joined the National Defence Academy and getting education, whether it is military or otherwise? Now, if you remember what the militaries all over the world had basically looked after the psychopathy, and they wanted the military leaders to be trained so that certain aspects can be modified to suit the requirements of the modern warfare. So if you look at it, these are the points which have been looked at when you have been selected or have been recommended by a service selection board, which basically does selection for the officer's entry. Sorry. Now, when you get training, we also get education. It is not stopped at NDA. It is training one part and education as a part. The training basically is to modify your behavior. Behavior, as you know, it doesn't come with just a carrot and a stick. It is over a period of from your childhood what you have developed. So here we have your basics which are there already right from your childhood, but then we educate you to overcome the shortfalls so that you become a better leader. And finally, those who are joining there, they have got great potential. That's what we say. SSB doesn't, we don't say they are selected, we use the word they recommend. Service Selection Board recommends that he has got a potential to become an officer in the armed forces. So that means they are going to be leaders of the military. Now, the potentiality is what they looked at it. The potential can be further enhanced or it might stagnate. We will not know. So it is the only thing they can identify with the 4 days tests they conduct. This can only have a potential. But beyond that is what we have to do at NDA. Like I'm talking about the cadets who are joining NDA. So our job is multifaceted. It's not only educating him but also train him. So that's where we come into a different role. That's why we want a synchronization of thought as we say, synonyms, synchronization of thoughts between the civilian academia and the service instructors. I keep calling myself an instructor, not an academician. Now, we also have challenges in their leadership roles, because basically, ultimately, we are going to be military leaders. We are not the bureaucrats, neither we are disengaged, disconnected citizens of India. We are part of the nation, but at the same time, we have our own ethics, we have our own values. So, our performance cannot be varied at varied time. So, we have to maintain it, and we have to groom this young, as you said, like you, graduation, because basically a 17-year plus. Okay. So, it's again adolescent, but then they are indoctrinated first, plus education, side by side. There is indoctrination as well as education. So, which you will never imagine in your CV street. You will either be educated or indoctrinated with whatever way the society wants. But here we have both. We give you autonomy, but at the same time, you have to follow the borders under which you can operate. I don't want to redefine it. It's already been laid down. We want a goodness ambassador in the society. That's what is the first thing. Now, if you look at it, there's no actual war taking place physically. More and more of our service personnel are seen helping the civil for other things. So we are more of our ambassadors. So what we are looking at here is the character training and the training of the cadets to take account of what you are also undergoing the education. The same thing they should also get it. That's what the ICT comes into play. We get connected with the civil street and they get the best of both. So here you will see the third point, what I keep telling my cadets. I said, you are here to learn and not to prove, because you already been recommended, you have the potential, so you can do what you want. But it's in you. You have to be motivated, you have to strive yourself. So don't expect a spoon feeding and then say, don't tell me what are the important questions for the examination so that I can get my degree. So sorry, that's not our job. So failure or success is not a question, but then strive for higher. Now, keeping this background, let me just go through what are the dilemmas, what we also face, like what you are facing across the board is spectrum, like somebody said so. I don't want quote unquote, but then sometimes we have an enemy within ourselves. The dilemmas, the first one we start is with what are the values of the ICTs? That's the basic question. There's a doubt whether it will actually happen or will it take away my importance. So these are the doubts and disbeliefs. Yes, I don't want to elaborate more than that. There is a myth, and again that it's going to substitute a teacher's job or an academician job. This also has come into, it's also there, and more than that is the pressures. So look, in the defense also, especially the cadets at NDA, they are at crossroads. Unlike you, if you fail in a paper, you call it as arrears and you carry forward and continue the second semester or the third semester, and then you try to complete it before whenever you feel like you have a time period. The cadets at NDA, the pressure is much more. If he doesn't clear a paper in a year, he is not promoted to the next term. So he has to redo it again. He loses 6 months. So that's the pressure. So the parents are worried. See, it's a question of time everybody has to undergo. So that's a lot of pressure on the cadets, more than what you face. So what exactly is, we are just trying to analyze the military education objectives and then decide what are their ICTs going to do about it. Okay, let's move a little fast. There are prerequisites and co-requisites which somebody might be subsequently examining, because these are civilian terminology which I don't want to elaborate it, but by now you should have known about it. Because the hardware part and the software part, whatever is there, and the willpower, if we take it as one wholesome, that is what going to finally give you whether you are into it or not out of it. So your expectations are the final things which are to be evaluated. Your expectation whether it is met or not, that is what to be evaluated. So this, of course, again, we are no way different from what you have. We are also facing a lot of globalization and technical innovations, because even the modern warfare now, if you've seen last, people have started using all the drones, sending it across for all the intelligence what they want to capture. So technological innovation is invading, and we cannot lag behind. Our leaders cannot lag behind. So we also have to keep pace with those technology, and how to make them aware of it. That's what we try to initiate the process of critical thinking. Now, of course, when all these are doing, keep it in mind, they are going to be trained simultaneously. This is one part of education which we try to give them to be on par with you in the civil street, but at the same time, they are trained to be military leaders. So there is going to be a conflict of interest. The cadet is not in absolute terms whether he should be first trained or to get educated. That's the simultaneous things which are happening. The 24 hours time, what we call 24/7, for him, 24/7 cannot be split and coexist between training and education. So what we do is we just go ahead little more fast. These are basic things we require for learning as well as teaching objective. We try to use it, we amalgamate it, and we have a beautiful setup. Right from 1995, the NDA has been using the ICT with the great things. And if you look at it, it's a very short term, I just put it. It looks very simple. What you have, I have. Only thing is that my data, you will not be able to capture it, because we also are little finicky about security, and how to maintain our secrecy is what we learn here. We have our own campus area network, but you will not be able to access it. We have the maximum possible firewalls so that nobody can get into it. So that's our system. We work within the four walls and the boundary, but then what you have, we get it into them. So we are having all the internet based, but at the same time our intranet is not open to you. And of course, with the latest one, with the NKN coming up, we are also part of the NKN project, and a webcast is coming into play. So slowly we are opening our portals to be with you, and we will be joining the mainstream, but it will be to a limited extent. Okay, so this is what we are talking about. We have basically most of our whether it is training, I put it here as computer-based training. I have not talked about the educational part, which everybody knows what are the things available. Here the training is what we call it as a computer-based training, where we have a lot of simulators. Certain things cannot be explained over here in this podium, but then we have technical innovators, and it's totally what you now call the Make in India projects. We have our own technical staff who had modified the available softwares to meet our challenges. Okay, so here we have how to increase efficiency. Basically, that's what is our main challenge. We have multidisciplinary training. It is not one. We have, when the cadet comes here, it's a tri-services, Army, Navy and Air Force, and all have got their own different ways of looking at certain things. Now we call, a cadet is assigned a squadron, and he has to participate in all the squadron activities. The activities is all training activities. It's not in education, plus educational. So he has to score points for his squadron. And if you had heard it, the ex-NDA officers, even now if you talk to them, an officer who was passed out from NDA in 1958 will still remember all his course mates. And that's the thing, because the togetherness, what they spend, the 3 years togetherness, they don't get written off. And there is again something which we call it as a flexibility in the learning schedule now, because we are not sacrosanct about that 5 hours of classroom teaching or 6 hours of classroom teaching. So when time permits, suddenly you will say the entire set of cadets will be moving out to on field to do some training exercise on army map reading or movement or something. They may not have it, but then to compensate it, they might be adjusted somewhere. So we have the entire 24 hours at our disposal to try and change our program as per our requirement. Okay. So that's the thing. So for this, what we use is, when you want to have a classroom or a limited time is only is available for the classroom instructions, then we extend the extended timing through the simulators and the interactive CBTs. This is a long list. Now this again we are talking about the quality of learning. It's the biggest challenge because training takes priority in the minds of the cadets because they are going to be military first, education second. So the quality of learning is the biggest challenge for us. If you ask ex-NDA cadet, the moment you say if you are a postgraduate, he will straight away say, oh, you are all academia, intelligentsia. But he will not accept that he is also equally read. He knows it, he is a master of all, and of course, he is not expert in your academic field, but he knows everything. If you talk about any topic, he will have an idea what exactly it is. So he is a jack of all trades, master of none. So to overcome this, of course, of late we have started connecting with the world. So the internet facility is 24 hours available for him. The library is extended with the NKN coming up. I hope the cadets will benefit immensely with interaction with you. Quote unquote, the internet facilities, we don't allow social media. The Facebook, Twitters is all blocked. Mobiles, strict no, ban. Because we feel, and I stand by it, it distracts their time and energy. They have 24 hours, sometimes they might go without a sleep, and if you have a mobile, probably the fiancée at their end, she'll get more worried. Now, quality of teaching, we also have, that's the main thing. If you look at it, the academicians of the NDA, I'm forgetting about now training to one side, I'm looking at the education part. There are around, if you look at it, we have almost 1800 to only 2000 cadets for the all 6 terms. That's only the graduation course. But then we have an academic staff of 140. Out of 140, nearly 110 or 117, in fact, to be more accurate, are civilian qualified professors and associate professors. Around 20 to 23 uniform personnel, we just float around, trying to infuse our thoughts with your civilian academia. So it's again a lifelong learning, because there is a point of interest and the clash of interest do come across, but then we coexist. So here, as I said, I did my post-graduation, if I have to just give you an idea, in the year 1988, and I was posted to NDA in the year 2013. So just imagine, 25 years after I finished my post-graduation, I come back to teach mathematics. For this interviewing for 25 years, I have not studied, I didn't even open the book of mathematics, because our role is different. I have been training, I am an instructor in training, but suddenly when I come after 25 years, I am at par with the research scholar, associate professor or professor, and I am doing the same job. Only cadets can say whether I am equally good or I am bad. But then the in point is, today I am also relying highly with the internet resources for my classroom teaching. I do believe it, and that's what the ICT is doing it. One small point before I finally come back to the basic thing. I think I'm taking up one more thing. I'm trying to go fast. The skill formation, since we are talking about a training part, we have to be a skilled soldier. So today we don't talk about soldiering, we call it as warrior. We have gone a concept from soldiers to warriors. We call ourselves as warriors. But still, our soldiering skills has to be maintained. So for that, now we also gone into the modular pattern, just-in-time training. Rather than training for years together, and then when you are used for the particular job, after a gap of 5 years or 6 years, your training had gone waste because after that you had gap. So now we are going for just-in-time training, which is we call it as a modular pattern. Like if you had seen the news media, before a soldier has to go to Siachen, he is trained for an acclimatization. So that's what is coming. It's a just-in-time training, and he goes. A person who was saved there, who has finished his tenure there, even when he comes back, he has a continuity in training. Now the continuity in training, how can you have it? What the physiological and the climatic conditions of the thing. But then yes, we do simulate it, and we do, as per our requirement, we have our training institutions for that. And like in Air Force, I can tell you that's a jungle, snow and survivals. It's a school. So we have a place where we conveniently, whenever we have time, we do go back to our basics, and then we start once again all the way. So keep us physically fit. And it's out of place to say that the suit which I am wearing, this was stitched in 1993 when I got married. So I'm not claiming anything, but then I say still I'm fit enough. So here again, over a period of time, we have the ICT coming into play, and the workplace training has immensely increased with the ICT. You should come and see the facilities. Like, we cannot waste the ammunitions for firing or testing our things. But then we have found out a way. The ICT has come into play, wherein we have the simulators where you can keep pace with the requirements, and then you can upgrade your skills. With all these things are possible. This is where we are coming into lifelong learning. We believe, of course, this the ethos, what we call ethics, values, is a lifelong learning, and we have to do a little bit extra on this. To have the morals and values of the defense forces, we have no other option other than to indoctrinate. Indoctrination is the very first instance. How do we do indoctrination? We keep banging them on that. I said, this is your limit and you have to do it. The first mantra, obey your seniors. Irrespective of what obey is. It might be wrong, it might be unpardonable, but still, first obey, let him try it. Then we'll search for the solutions, subsequently better solutions. So that's indoctrination, and it's lifelong learning. Plus, we cannot be alienated from the society. Please bear in mind, the cadets who are joining the services come from the same society as you are. Your thinking is not going to be different than theirs. They come from that. So to break, we have to indoctrinate, to take them away, and then bring up in our thinking views. Our morals and ethics are more of indoctrination. If the thread breaks, then you will have what happens in Pakistan or other countries where the military is ruling it. So towards this, of course, we have a constant in-service training, which is now we have talked about the model pattern, where again we use the lessons learned. Everything is latest. If you have tomorrow a course starting at a institution of a defense institution, they will take up the latest what has happened at, say, in Siachen. The lessons learned out of that, and it is, how do you get it? It's all through your ICT. We get the videos, we go through it, we study it, and we keep learning. So that if you talk about messages, what had happened after the Pathankot incident, If you're lucky, now you go closer to any Air Force Station base, so you will be first watched with suspicion. Even walking across the base, they will start watching you with suspicion. And you can see a lot of movements with the weaponry. Rest assured, they are not going to harm you, but it's the lessons learned. So we keep updating our thing, and it's a lifelong. And all these are happening because of ICT. Because otherwise, what is happening in Pathankot will not be known in Chennai at Tambram. It's this connectivity which helps us to merge. I'm just trying to finish it. So we have to have an effectiveness, we have potential. If you want it to be effective, we are to have the prerequisites and co-requisites, which are basically the ICT as of now, which is going to bridge the gap. And NDA has got what you can think of the connectivity, which is still a virtual campus, but within the four walls. Every cadet has been issued with a laptop, we call it a thin client, which is connected to the campus area network, and all the material for training and the education material is available for him whenever he gets free time. Again quote, whenever he gets free time, he can go through it. And that only he has to manage it. With the training pattern, it is a question of how he manages. For conclusion, it is between to be technical or a technical education. We say no, we are not a technical education. We are only using the ICT to our advantage. We are not having tech savvy totally. That's a separate part. As an academician in the NDA, we are trying to use only ICT for more effective and responsive training part. I hope I have finished. I am able to convince what exactly it is at an NDA, and I try to finish off. I don't know, it's very slow. We do not think anymore of the spectacle of printing. Every time we read a book, the phenomenon of TV, every time we watch a movie, or the miracle of telephone, every time we make a call. I'm still representing. We are still old timers, but still we have changed. So it's our effort to be in tune with what the globally acceptable norms of ICT, and we are marching ahead and striving for improvement in every field. I have finished, and if you have got anything to ask, if you have any questions about National Defence Academy, you want to hear about it, I can talk about it. But this is not the forum of popularizing or getting canvassing for that. I hope it's not intruding the thing. I think I have already taken more than 20 minutes. I try to finish off. Anything else you want to have a clarification? It's time now. I give you 2 minutes time. Thank you, one and all, for the opportunity given to me. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. As per the timetable that I was given, I finished my talk about 11 minutes ago. That's okay. In India, we don't treat time with any respect anyway. Time is infinity for us. So I guess I will share with you some of my thoughts in the next 20 minutes. Many important things have already been shared. I was watching the things that they were passing by. So I will hopefully add. So I call it an opportunity for constructive disruption, because disruption is going to happen because of absolutely unlimited capabilities of changing lifestyles when ICT comes in. Social media and everything has been talked about. Please don't take notes, not worth it. This is the busiest slide in my deck. All other slides will have only one sentence or something. In fact, the reason I do it this way is earlier, like any good teacher, I used to have 8 or 10 sentences. And when the slide flips, everybody is only reading those sentences, nobody is listening to me. So I changed the style by looking at the style of one German professor who was chairman of the open source knowledge community of Creative Commons. So this is an oxymoron. We need to provide quality among scale and diversity. But in the process of education, we often forget the desire of an individual learner. Teaching has become synonymous with delivering lectures and conducting assessments. And while we try to improve our teaching, including any additional resources such as ICT, we forget that none of that may make material difference to the advancement of learning as a student. This is a fact which is well known. Past 30 years, the pedagogy which improved learning have been coming to the forefront because now it is feasible to adapt to some of them. But there is very little realization amongst us teachers that we have to fundamentally change our way of attempting to educate people. The desire of any individual learner is skills, knowledge and livelihood. Skills, because that is a road to livelihood. Knowledge, because otherwise you cannot enjoy your livelihood. But have no pretensions about it. 99.9% of young human beings study in order to get a livelihood. We do not recognize this fact and we try to imagine that everybody is seeking knowledge. Knowledge comes, but it comes often incidentally and it should enhance through the mechanisms that we use. Now, given this, I would like to briefly look at the present system of education, particularly the higher education. If I am a student, I want an opportunity to learn. The only way I can get an opportunity to learn is to join an institution of higher learning. That institution is typically a college affiliated to a university. And unless I take admission to a degree program, I cannot learn, I cannot get light. Now, I want to learn at my own pace, based on my own interest, and using my own abilities, which are unique to me, because God has created every human being unique. The system of education, unfortunately, because of the scale at which it has to be conducted, does not recognize this fact at all. Even if it does, most of us do recognize that we are unable to do anything. So consequently, we go into an absolutely, militarized zone. It's just platoon, whatever units you have, right up to the brigade and division, and that's how you deal with it. What is the response of my system when I come as a young student to you saying, please permit me to learn at my own pace, please permit me to learn what I like? The system says, since only our degrees are recognized, and since we give these degrees only in a manner that we say, so if you have to do a course, BCom, you have to study for 3 years. Imagine if I am a young student who at the school level has done a whole lot of accounting. I have studied my own. I come and say, madam, please permit me exemption from this accounting course. No, it's a core course. You have to do it. All right. Permit me to just give the exam. I'll confirm my credentials. No, 85% attendance is compulsory. So I have to spend the entire semester stupidly reworking things which I already know, wasting my time, and not getting an opportunity to utilize that time to do something else, because there are only 24 hours in a day for you, for me, for everyone. Suppose I find a course in finance to be extremely difficult. It's also a compulsory course. I recognize within the first 2 weeks of a semester that I am unlikely to clear this course by giving the exam because I can't study. I again go to her and say, Madam, will you please permit me to study this course over the entire year rather than in a single semester? No. Course is 1 semester duration. But I can't learn as fast as others. No, you have to study hard. But Madam, I know I will require 1 year. You'll get an opportunity. Fail in this course and re-register again in the next semester. Then you can study it for 1 year. How long are we going to carry on with these stupid systems? And there is no solution, because one after another, the higher and higher authorities are further straitjacketing our educational system. I am privileged because I teach at IIT, where the freedom of a teacher is absolutely enormous. Same course taught by 3 different teachers is often taught completely differently. And that is accepted and honored because the basic principles are still covered. The way we teach is so different. We have been conducting joint entrance examination for 55 years. Not a single question has ever been repeated. When I did my graduation from a good college in Indore, by 3rd year I had figured out that if I look at the questions of the 3 previous years, I am done with. So I had hell of a time. I could join the swimming team, chess team, debating, everything except study. When I came to IIT to do my post-graduation, I was flattened. Now, why can't normal students be challenged like the IIT system challenges them? It can be done even within the framework, and yet we do not do it. Now, the massive open online courses have arrived, and they give an opportunity for people to learn courses from the best universities, from the best known teachers. Learning from the best teachers is an advantage because the teachers, the best teachers, are not bound by the syllabus, by the degree, by the mechanism that you. That is why they are the best teachers. When MOOCs are recognized, please imagine the following. Today, our BCom degree, BSc degree, BTech degree is considered important because the society respects those degrees. Tata Consultancy Services will not appoint a person as an employee unless the person has a degree from a recognized college. Suppose Ramdurai, now Chandra for example, who heads TCS, figures out that students are able to learn all required skills and concepts online, and I can test them online and through some interviews. I don't think they need degrees. If employment and livelihood can be offered independent of your degrees, tell me, will the arrogance of our educational system survive? Are we waiting for that to happen? It almost looks like we are waiting for that to happen, and we must do something. We must therefore adopt the best mechanisms that the ICT provides into whatever we conventionally do. Because although the best mechanisms exist, they are not necessarily best in terms of guaranteeing learning. So, online is not a complete solution. We have been working on that, we have been researching on that. I had written an invited paper saying blended MOOCs is essential. In my concluding part, I will talk about it, but let me very quickly wrap through the evolution of educational technology. E-learning systems, everybody is familiar with. This word E became very popular in the 90s when internet was there for quite some time, but web was born in 1994-95. I mean, if you look at the entrepreneurs who were making proposals of e-medicine, e-learning, e-that, I still remember a joker, an entrepreneur, who just to make the jest of it, he prepared a funding proposal for an e-toilet and sent it to venture funders. And one idiot actually called him for discussion. He had to clarify that I had written it as a joke, it doesn't make any sense. I recall that because today is the time of calling everything smart. smart cities, smart education, smart colleges, smart classrooms. You see, people have to be smart. A city cannot be smart unless all people residing in that city are equally smart. And if they are dumb, that city will remain dumb always. So please, let us understand when we say smart colleges, what we mean. Smart colleges for smart people, smart students and smart teachers who together work on smart education. And unless the people are smart, we are not going to achieve any smartness. This is my humble submission. Sorry for being so harsh on that. But there are tremendous things which are now possible, which were earlier impossible. Video recorded lectures. Earlier, a teacher gave a lecture, and if you did not understand anything, you did not have the choice of rewinding that thing. The lecture was like a radio, ek baar bolta hai, it's gone. If you don't understand, it's gone. Now you can try and talk to your friends to find out something like that. But today the best lectures, you look at TED Talks, how many young students are benefiting from amazing dialogues which the TED Talks have given. People are worried about, ethics, people are worried about value system. I will tell you, youngsters are getting to know about values far more than what our earlier system did. They have access to that information. Whether they have time to spend and whether they have will to ponder over it is a different question. So the access to material, access to knowledge has amazingly. I would also like to add that access to the best quality knowledge does not necessarily you become knowledgeable. An obvious example, if this was true, then for centuries the librarians would have been the most knowledgeable people. There is no evidence of that. I mean, they are knowledgeable and respectable, but they are not the ultimate knowledgeable. So access to knowledge does not translate to knowledge, because learning depends upon the active time spent by an individual human mind. And in that sense, it has absolutely nothing to do with how effective the teaching is, how effective the classroom is, how effective the technology. If as a teacher I am unable to motivate my student to spend time, to think, to apply, to practice, no learning can happen. And that is the reason why if I have 100 students, each one of them a unique creation of God, I am unable to provide the opportunity that is right for that person's attitude, aptitude, intelligence and background. That is something that will now be feasible in this century. I don't know how many of you heard of 14 grand challenges in engineering which the US National Academy of Engineers initiated about 6 years ago. Some of you would have heard of Imprint India program. We have defined 10 grand challenges in India. These are all multidisciplinary facets. People who will attempt to solve these problems will not be commerce graduates, science graduates, engineering graduates, medical graduates. They will be knowledgeable, smart people. And that is what we have to create. I would like all of you to remember. Anyway, I digress. Online tutorial centers is an old time thing. It is nothing new. For 30 years they have been there. Collaborative forums. I am sadly surprised to find that no social media is permitted in India. They have their own reason. We tried to shut down internet on the campus between 2 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the morning, saying that at least for those 4 hours students should sleep. And there was a ruckus. Because on one hand we define our system such that if one student wants to work for 10 minutes in a lab at 2 o'clock in the night, the facilitation must be there. So we give key permission to students can work. See, on one hand you say that, on the other hand, in my own room, if I want to access Wikipedia, you say no. The problem is, the student does everything except accessing the Wikipedia at 2 o'clock. So that's another problem. But collaborative forums permit huge amount of knowledge dissemination through discussions. Moodle, you would have all known, I was very happy that Moodle is used there effectively, and the other learning management systems. Wikipedia and other resources. From an Indian context, there is only one problem that I perceive, for which I have decided that after I leave IIT, for 10 years I will work on that. Creating open source knowledge contents for school children in Indian language. A very large number of smart students studying in their native languages, and they are being discriminated because maximum amount of good, useful knowledge, searchable knowledge is available in English, not in Marathi, Telugu, Kannada, Tamil, whatever. And it is required to be done. There are some efforts, but not as much as they ought. We designed these affordable clicker devices long time ago to conduct online tests. These devices are not new, they have been used in United States for last 10 years. But their price was about $40 and we wanted to have them inexpensively, so we designed them. They cost us 700 rupees and then 1000 rupees. This is like Kaun Banega Crorepati style thing. You see, when we use flipped classroom, let me go further and tell you what a flipped classroom is. Conventionally, teacher gives a lecture in the class and students study outside the class to solve problems. In a flipped classroom, there are no lectures given. Lectures are pre-recorded. Students are supposed to see those lectures and come to the classroom. And the entire class is spent on discussion, problem solving session, what you conventionally call tutorials. But these are not the kind of tutorials which I have seen in some classes where the teacher comes, writes 10 problems and goes for a cup of tea and the students solve those 10 problems individually. It's more like an exam. That's not it. Now this flipped classroom permits this distanciation. But in the flipped classroom, one of the problems is students do not necessarily view that lecture before coming to the class. The assumption is for a 3-lecture course per week, a student spends about 3 to 5 hours for doing homework. That is stated as a principle in every college rule book, in the system, etc., etc. Not more than 1% of our students ever work for 5 hours for a course in a week. They all work for 10 hours before the exam. But during the week they won't. So it is silly to expect them to view all the lectures. That is the reason why all these pre-recorded lectures are 7 to 8 minutes long. And that is the reason why we use these clickers in our flipped classrooms. All that we do is, we conduct a quiz in the first 2 minutes of the class, which is based only on to find out whether the student has viewed the lecture or not, nothing. You see, I don't know, our students are no different. If you tell the students you view those lectures, you will have exotic knowledge with you, nobody cares. If you say you don't view the lecture, you will lose marks. There is a half-mark quiz tomorrow morning, then everybody views. So that's a incentive, stick, come, whatever, but it works. Now, I cannot conduct a conventional paper-based quiz because conducting that quiz, distributing papers, collecting that and correcting that will take enormous amount of time. In Kaun Banega Crorepati, I flash a question, people answer A, B, C, D and that's it. With Akash tablets, we further randomized it. So the same question comes differently to each individual student. Because otherwise, I see here and there and give an answer. They are the Android tablets, which we integrated with a whole lot of hardware. I will not bore you with those details. We run Scilab, which is an open source equivalent of a very good commercial product called MATLAB. I will digress for a moment and mention why I consider open source software important. I have nothing against commercial products. They are important, they are useful, without which the life will not work. But when our students and our teachers use a piece of software in their labs, they do not ensure that a proper license has been got. In my department of computer science, if you use an unauthorized software on any machine, you are disconnected from all servers for 7 days. You need good commercial software, by all means go ahead and use it, but pay the license fee. Respect the intellectual property generated by them. We may disagree with the patent laws and everything, but as long as the laws exist, they must be respected. We don't do that, our institutions don't do. I challenge every institution to guarantee that every piece of software running on every computer in their institution is a legal piece of software. And if it is not, we should be ashamed. We had this shameful situation in 80s in IIT Bombay when I was dean, and I paid 45 lakh rupees to Microsoft to straighten out that. Now we have all legal software. But it costs money. If you can't afford that, you can use open source software, and I tell you, for 90% of your requirements, open source software products will solve the problem. Look at Moodle. If every college had to pay a heavy license fee for Moodle, we would be bankrupt. Not possible. That is not to say commercial products are not useful, but please remember this as teachers. Go back and seriously inquire in your labs, in your colleges. Is every piece of software legal? If it is not, please tell them, please tell your management, we are committing an academic crime. And therefore, this is the ethical value we are proudly presenting to our students. And then you talk of values to the students, that is utter nonsense. We ourselves have to believe in those values before we preach them. You have to walk the talk. My colleague Mr. Kannan Maudgal has worked out a spoken tutorial methodology. It's extremely easy to spread useful knowledge through spoken tutorials. Again, this is on the web. Those of you who are interested can see it. But more than 5 lakh Indian individuals have learned useful skills in IT using these spoken tutorials. Virtual labs is a major effort coordinated by all IITs. You could see some of those beautiful 3D animations which Professor Mistry was showing there. We use those for actually creating simplified explanations for the lab. But virtual lab is much more than that. You can actually conduct experiments at a true equipment which is very costly, but which is at a remote place. National Repository of Open Educational Resources is an extremely good initiative from the school. I mention it in this context because a large number of the content there are meaningful even at the elementary college level courses. And they are extremely good content. Massive open online courses, you all have heard of them. We launched them last year. We had more than 1 lakh people registered for our courses, and this is increasing like wildfire. It is arguably correct that large number of students don't complete the courses when they register. We have analyzed that, and that is why we are suggesting a blended MOOCs methodology. NPTEL offers online courses. IIT Kanpur offers courses, particularly in agriculture. Work on SWAYAM is progressing. Currently, all of these are geared to engineering and science courses. But it will not be very far when courses in every domain, in every field, and in multidisciplinary aspects will soon become available. And they are not content, they are a course. There is a lecture, there is an interactive practice set of problems, there is quizzes, there are online evaluations, assessment, and contrary to popular belief, large majority of people don't copy. There is nobody to copy, you are working from your home at your time. More importantly, it is now possible to capture every interaction of every online student, and that permits me to prepare a learning model for every student individual. Let me spend a few seconds to tell you about personalized instructions. Ordinarily, if there are 100 students in my class, and if let's say 10 students score less than 30 marks, I will give additional material to all those 10, but it will be identical material because all of them have scored 30 marks. But there is one of those 30 mark scorers who actually looks directly at problems. There are another who methodically goes through every lecture material. A third one who glimpses through things. Don't you agree that for each one there should be a different set of additional material that should be given so that it is most appropriate for that person's learning style? It is not possible in the current system. A teacher cannot cater to understanding 100 different students' learning model. It is now possible to automatically capture. That is why big data analytics and student behavior is an extremely important research topic. A lot of people in India and in the world are working on that, and we should soon have some very interesting learnings from it. Internet bandwidth and affordable access devices is a must if at all you want to use ICT effectively. Without these things, you cannot. I mean, I'm amazed when people say my college has a 8 Mbps connection. Every individual student should have a minimum of 8 Mbps connection to internet. Please understand that we are still a poor country and we are unable to give the kind of access that is required to be given. Only a few institutions can manage things. National Knowledge Network, as was mentioned, is trying to solve that problem, at least for the institutions of higher learning. The T10KT project is a project that we undertook, was briefly mentioned. We trained 10,000 teachers at a time, and we have been doing it for 3 years. How we do it is we have established more than 350 remote centers across the country. 30-40 teachers attend our 2-week workshops at each of these remote centers. In the morning we deliver interactive lectures from IIT Bombay, now from IIT Kharagpur. And these are interactive lectures in the true sense. So if somebody is sitting in here, science, and there is a person from Coimbatore asking a question to a professor in IIT Bombay, you can view both the questioner and the answer, almost giving you a feeling of simulated classroom. In the afternoon, these 30-40 teachers at each remote center undergo hardcore tutorials and lab sessions as we would conduct in IIT. One question that bothered us initially was, how do you ensure that the labs are also conducted with the same rigor with which we conduct them in IIT? So what we started doing is we started appointing a workshop coordinator at each of these remote centers, and 2 months before this training workshop starts, we assembled all these 300 people at IIT Bombay for 1 week, and we made them do exactly the same labs and same tutorials. There are people who have been teaching the same subject but not in the same style that we teach in IIT. They became familiar with that style, they did that, we subjected them to assessment, and we did not necessarily permit all 300 remote centers to operate. Many times we will say 224 remote centers are selected for this course. We would not like to insult somebody saying that you are not good enough, but we say for our requirement this is. At a scale which was hitherto not even imaginable. This is by far the largest scale training program for teachers anywhere in the world, by the way. India has done it for the first time and we have been doing it for 3 years. Different disciplines for different fields. There are 350 remote centers in the form of engineering colleges. It does not take more than 4 lakh rupees to set up a remote center facility, but you need a good internet connection. You can set up a hub anywhere. Bombay University can become a creator of this training program for all teachers of their own college. And eventually in the blended MOOCs that we ran last year, we actually involved even students from multiple colleges to participate. This is a glimpse from our coordinators workshop, those 300 people who come together at IIT. This is typically a set of teachers at a remote college. This is a very favorite picture of mine. You can see a lot of ladies in front. There are a few men. They are sitting sheepishly behind. So there is a college with a large number of lady teachers. We felt so happy when we started getting mails that thanks for arranging this program in a location too close to our home. We could have never left our families to come to IIT Bombay for 2 weeks. So Kannan and I proudly share this, that we are helping to empower 50% of the national population. But it is important because ICT removes the distance barriers that are faced by many people. A blended MOOCs approach where you use the flipped classroom, where the lectures are actually available on the net, but in practice, in order to get the acceptance of MOOCs scores into the university grades, we did this experiment last year, again the first in the world anywhere. There are many universities in the world which have adopted a particular MOOC as a regular course in their own university for their own students. Our experiment spanned multiple colleges. So we wrote to about 100 autonomous institutions, 50 of them agreed to participate in this. 3 subjects we chose which we normally teach, we have online courses in them. These regular students of these 50 colleges would study each of these courses, or some of these, not all 3 by all students. But they will study it both online from IIT Bombay and face to face with the normal teacher. We train those teachers that please conduct flipped classroom, not for the entire semester but at least for 1 or 2 topics. Because you see, you cannot convert a teacher. I have spent, let's say, 40 years in giving lectures and conducting assessment. And today suddenly you come and tell me, Fatak, whatever you are doing is nonsense, you have to use flipped classroom. I'll say, what nonsense, yaar? I am well known as a good teacher, and if you insist, I will do this and go home. I am not interested. But if I actually try it out, and I am permitted to try it out without feeling bad about failures, then perhaps. So these things have to be done progressively by informing teachers that please change your ways and you will also enjoy them and you will become more effective. After all, which teacher does not like to become an effective teacher? It's just the lack of training, lack of mechanisms and lack of permission. One of the teachers from one college said, sir, I will teach it like that, but will my university object? I said, that is why your college is not included. You have to be an autonomous institution. An autonomous institution can take a decision that this is the way this course will be taught, this is the way people will be examined. For the first time, 11,500 students from these colleges got their regular university grade in these courses, which was a combination of online grade and the face-to-face assessment grade. This experiment, AICT Chairman Professor Sastravade wants us to continue with 500 institutions tomorrow. This is likely to be a mechanism that will evolve. There are some stupid talk by Google experts few years ago saying by 2020 no teachers will be required. That is nonsense. If they consider the teacher's job to be delivering lecture, probably true, but that is not the teacher's job at all. That was never the teacher's job. Teacher's job always was to enthuse individual students to learn, and that we did inadvertently or by design through interaction with our students in the class, outside the class. We provide a framework where 50 students can come together. Do you think they remain quiet when they leave my class? There will be some discussion, some talk. That is when learning happens. Teacher is absolutely essential, and in fact with ICT, a teacher is more essential. Because otherwise, this disconnect, as he said, will not happen. The disconnect from technology can happen only when human beings come together in a group, spend time in discussing, challenging minds. And that is why teacher is important, but a teacher has to understand that I have to mend my ways, I have to work in a different way so that I can actually be 10 times more effective than what I was if I use the information technology as effectively as I can. So face-to-face education and learning through MOOCs is important. Use MOOCs as a complement for your teaching. Start using flipped classrooms. There is a much harder work, by the way. There are many colleagues of mine who have done this and who do that. The amount of work that is to be done for the first time is about 10 times more than the amount of work that you do when you teach a course. But subsequently the amount reduces. Improve the learning process. That has to be single most important criteria for all of us. And unfortunately there is no way of measuring except through grades that my students get. And you know how good students are at bettering their grades by multiple mechanisms other than learning. So award weightage to both scores, online and this is what we did. Please restore autonomy of a teacher. The stupidity of university, you know what happens, I mean, I'm again very proud that I teach at IIT Bombay, but I remember in my college, I'll take 2 minutes to share with you an incident that happened when I had just become a young teacher, and a student who used to be on my chess team, I used to be the coach for the chess team, came to me with a question paper, late Professor K.C. Mukherjee's term paper, and he said, how do you solve this question 3? I looked at that question 3, realized I cannot solve it, but then I proudly told him I am a computer science professor. It was an electrical engineering fields question. He says, no, you have a basic degree in electrical engineering. Then I had to admit I can't solve it, but since I was a teacher, I said, let's both go to Professor K.C. Mukherjee and ask him. We went to electrical engineering department. As the old professor saw us coming in, he started smiling because he saw the paper dangling out. And as we approached his table, he says, so question 3, Fatak? So we both smiled. He asked us, Siddhant, won't say anything. So the student asked him, sir, what is the answer? He looked at him and said, I don't know. And he was shocked. Then he turned to me and says, Fatak, this actually is a part of an unsolved research problem for 10 years. Nobody has. But you know, this batch is so smart. I thought somebody will solve it. You know, if this had happened at my college in Indore, the vice chancellor would have been घेरा out. Syllabus के बाहर का सवाल पूछा. This bunch of students from that batch in the hostel that evening celebrated the occasion with what is known as a milkshake party. Milkshake today is ordinary, but in 70s, a milkshake was a very costly thing. And a hostel did a milkshake party only when something extraordinary happened. Like the hostel won a debating trophy or inter-hostel hockey tournament or something. And the general secretary was walking by, he says, what the hell has happened? And I am general secretary, I do not know why you celebrate. So I said, you don't know? The great Professor Mukherjee thinks that we can solve unsolved research problems. So we are celebrating. This incident should tell you a lot. The students and teachers in IIT are no different than students and teachers anywhere else, let me tell you. We're same human beings, we come from the same tree. The difference is in the ethos. The difference in the respect for both challenging the minds and being challenged. That is built into the ethos of teaching learning. And there is no reason why exactly the same ethos cannot be built in every institution, in every class. We just have to try a bit harder. ICT is there to help you, that's all. I'm sorry I have taken already too long. My God, that's the problem, I lose track of time. So the objective of us as teachers is to encourage, mentor and empower, and we must work towards the ultimate autonomy of the learner. I'll conclude by saying that in future our lives will be as beautiful as the dewdrops that you see on this flower. This picture was sent to me by one Professor Wag from Delhi. The dewdrops have a special meaning for me, the word dew. Empowered digital India, where we shall have big dreamers among our learners, students who enjoy life not through SMS and WhatsApp but by human interaction, and learners who are willing to work hard, because unless you dream big, as late Dr. Abdul Kalam said, you cannot achieve great things. Unless you enjoy life, you are missing out something great, because every instance in our life comes only once. You know, anything else, you lose knowledge, you can gain it again. You lose money, you can earn it again. You lose time, is gone. Time is one-way travel. And therefore, we must enjoy every moment of our life. Whether we are studying, working, playing, arguing with someone, fighting with a friend, we must enjoy everything. That is central to the human life. So dream big, enjoy life, work hard is the message that I would like to give to all our students. That's all I will say. Thank you so much.